According to The Hollywood Reporter, studios, that's movie studios, are getting ready to spend lots of money in 2026. So what's up with that? I thought they were on the ropes. They had been doped by bad box office numbers. Well, it turns out they're spending all right, but not on movies anymore. So where is the money going? Where is the cash going to crash? Well, we'll tell you, and it's not on the silver screen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to yet another video of excellence as we tour through the hallowed halls of Hollyweird and find out just how badly things are going for the movie business. Now, you might not know that because Wicked and Zootopia 2 are about to tear up the box office in a good way, but they got a long way to go after what's happened the rest of this year. It's been horrific. And now companies like Disney and Paramount may be casting doubt on the future of movies, the industry itself, and sending all the money to sports, AI, and other places. We'll tell you what's happening. We've got the report. It's coming to you. Click the like button, and off we go. All right, folks, take a look at this. It's out of the Hollywood Reporter, and the studios are getting ready to spend some money, but not on Hollywood. Wait a minute, what? Well, then what are they going to spend on? Well, according to the Hollywood Reporter from Alex Weprin, Disney and Paramount are opening their wallets, but it's for sports and international content. Oh, so that's what they think is going to work. Okay, let's see. Writers, actors, and producers across Hollywood could be forgiven for thinking they got an early Christmas present. After all, Paramount, now under the ownership of David Ellison, committed to upping its content spend by $1.5 billion with a B dollars next year. Disney followed in short order, revealing November 13 plans to pump an extra $1 billion into its content pipeline in fiscal 2026. To a total of $24 billion. Ellison told Wall Street, we need to increase our investments, obviously, in content. What kind of content might that be? Will we finally get those sound stages in California filled once more? Well, I wouldn't open the door for that, because guess what? Next quote. We believe Paramount has the potential to be a dynamic global media company, Bank of America analyst Jessica Reif Alrich wrote in a note after its earnings report. However, there are no easy fixes, and a turnaround such as this will take a significant amount of time, require substantial investment and investor patience. Much of that investment, it seems, once again, will flow to content. The public maneuvering from Disney and Paramount following Netflix's call out of $1.6 billion or so to increase to about $18 billion in 2025, with CFO Spencer Newman declaring that we're not anywhere near a ceiling. The business has been in something of a holding pattern since 2023. Following the strikes and all that, you all get that. And by the way, people saying that we had already left what was called peak TV. But the public declarations from Disney and Paramount, combined with some big bets being placed by others, suggest that things might be turning around. It's the sort of news that should get executives excited, but beneath the surface are warning signs for Hollywood that belie the underlying numbers. Multiple sources across the industry note that while content spend is going up, it's not uniform across platform or genres. Where is the content going? Well, get ready. Here it is. Spending on sports and sports-adjacent content is rising rapidly. The new $76 billion NBA deals with NBCU, Amazon, and ESPN kicked in this fall. And Paramount just inked a $7.7 billion deal for the UFC that begins next year. Companies are increasingly focusing on locking in deals with such key talent as Sheridan, Stranger Things creators Duffer Brothers, and Trey Parker and Matt Stone of South Park. What are we talking about here, folks? The money is not necessarily going to making movies. Maybe some big blockbusters, but the silver screen could be looking very lean, as it looks like companies like Paramount and Disney are investing in sports and very niche TV shows and streaming darlings. That's where the money's going to go, not necessarily to big films. Now, there are some exceptions if they think they could have exceptional returns. But a lot of the mid-level films that you remember from the 80s and 90s, they might be starved for budgets. And guys, I've got an idea of why that might be. When we're looking at the investment for sports, you might think that it's insane how much they've spent on the NBA. And I agree. I can't deny that. However, what these companies are looking at, and they're praying that the feds will allow it, is a giant sports betting ecosystem that will drive billions and billions of dollars to them, and they're going to be the platforms to host this. That's why the sports thing is a big deal. And then on the streaming, they're stuck in streaming now. Whatever you might think of streaming, if you think it's cable 2.0, that's where they know they got to go because they've killed the cinemas. They're going to be under, Christian, they're going to be under 2024 numbers, I believe. I've looked at this. They're currently leading 2024 by about 2%, but they're down to basically Wicked and Zootopia 2, and they're going up against Mufasa, Sonic, Moana 2 from last year. We would count Avatar, but it comes out so late in the year that most of that box office will happen in the next calendar year. So I think that they're looking at the brink of these theaters not making it anymore, and they're going all in on live entertainment and streaming successes, and that's maybe the end of the Hollywood era that we saw, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, when Jonas has shown this before, movie after movie, month after month, great things to go watch in cinemas. That's largely dried up. What do you think about this report from THR?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, on the plus side, I think you're going to see a Christie franchise because that movie's been so successful. You'll see multiple sequels there. You know, even the New York Times had a story a couple of days ago. Essentially, it was kind of the death of the movie store, which is something we've been talking about forever. But for them to acknowledge it was pretty interesting. You know, we've seen movies by Jennifer Lawrence and Channing Tatum and Keanu Reeves just flopping. And the biggest problem there is they just can't control their prices. They made the budgets are too high. We've talked about that. I recently talked to a filmmaker. He's the man responsible for the Muzzle franchise with Aaron Eckhart. And he talked a little bit about how he wanted to shoot in LA, but it was almost impossible, especially for his price point. So I think that's sort of indicative of the Hollywood culture at large. They just don't know how to spend money wisely. So yeah, they're going to start steering it elsewhere. I mean, it's going to be weird. The cinema moving forward is going to be a lot of video game adaptations, a lot of IP rebrands, and a lot of those mid-tier movies are just going to be gone. I think they'll just pop up on streaming at best. So yeah, a lot of changes afoot, and that doesn't even get into the whole AI situation, which we just touched on. So
it may be the reason that they have to go to AI, Christian.
Is the recent scandal with some of the NBA figures. I mean, gambling ain't pretty. It can get really messy. And I think that's a cultural situation where be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about the idea that they may be forced to go with AI because it's the only way to get the budgets low enough to make this make sense anymore?
Oh, completely. Yeah. That dam will break at some point for sure. I mean, the copyright issues are obvious. You know, Morgan Freeman is fighting against people using his voice, and I completely get that. It's understandable. You know, he's iconic, and the voice is his. But yeah, I mean, they have to reduce costs somehow, and AI is going to be the obvious path forward. Until they just have to get past the cultural, oh, you can't do that, and all these stars are hyperventilating about AI and raving about that against that. Was it Tilly Norwood, the AI actress?
Oh yeah, that was a bunch of PR nonsense anyway.
Yeah, no, we don't even see her anywhere, but she pops up in articles. So yeah, I think once it's inevitable accelerates.
You know what that Tilly Norwood thing was all about, Christian? That's not about whether or not we can put an AI thing into a movie. That has what they're trying to do there, I believe, is because celebrities drive movie attendance. At least that's what the system has been in the past. And the idea was there, well, if it's an AI, like we can already do that. We can put that in a movie, but how do we drive the ecosystem of magazines and articles and interviews? How do we do the PR push? Oh, well, what if we actually create a celebrity AI? It's not just a character that we put in. It's not just, Superman. It's not just this character, this thing. It's actually full-blown personality that goes out and does interviews. And that was what about. Jonas, you've been living for this moment, though. You've been living for the moment when we bring up the Morgan Freeman thing. Would you, Jonas, be willing to do an impression of Morgan Freeman and then contribute that as Jonas J. Campbell to AI so that when Morgan Freeman is mad, we can say, no. That's not you. We trained that on Jonas.
Well, that is one thing that comes up often when I do a Morgan Freeman impression, whether or not people's ears are trained. It is usually par for the course that we get a question about whether or not it's AI. I would also get that same question when working on the Everything Woke series. With Morgan Freeman's voice, he might as well cash in at the end of his life, but I think he's already making the big bucks anyhow, doing that voice and speaking in that way, when all he wants to do is retire to Georgia and take Miss Daisy to the Piggly Wiggly.
I don't think we've ever had a Piggly Wiggly reference on here. Hey, Nat, it's not just THR that's talking about this. NBC News says streaming is overtaking theaters for movie watchers. I'm now comfortable saying I think we are entering a new era, and I do think that theaters are on a shorter lifespan. I had thought, that this was a cultural thing that maybe we could continue to do for the next 10 years or so, but I'm just worried. The only way out of this I see is for like Netflix or some of these other streamers to cut a deal with AMC so that you can have a premier place to go watch your favorite show, and it's a theater. That I don't know how they can survive with as little success as Hollywood is providing them anymore.
And I think you said over the past couple years, Hollywood has been struggling, but I think it's the past almost 2 decades that they've been just slowly draining themselves and decreasing in how good the things and how encouraging things are to go actually watch them, be it in theaters or for people to talk about it. But other than that as well, with social media and again, bringing up AI, entertainment has become so much more insular, and there's big influencers that only a few people know, but it's millions of people. But then when you try to share that culture, others don't understand what you're talking about. There's no Seinfeld or Friends that people, talk, everybody knows what you're talking about, even if you haven't seen it. So I think that has also helped to break apart the celebrity culture that used to exist, not just in the US, but globally. People knew who all these celebrities, all these actors were, and that's being lost more and more, and now ramping up with AI and with live entertainment and sports. And aside from the betting, I think entertainment companies might be looking at the one thing that cannot be easily replicated by AI and still build that shared experience and communal cultural experience that was lost for everything else because it's been insular elsewhere.
The lack of broad appeal is the thing that I think we've been suffering from. I think everybody here can agree with that. I mean, Glenn Powell, let's use Glenn Powell just for fun, because he just had a massive flop, right? And there were many failures for that film, including a very poor marketing pathway and the lack of quality marketing and the lack of, the quality film. Let's just start from there.
And it dives into the same social issues that we have said before. They're divisive and they drive away the audiences.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a guy that should have the broadest possible appeal, but again, because of all the divisiveness that's around these actors and actresses and the qualifying hoops they have to jump through, that oftentimes, removes some interest from some element of the audience, you end up with a film that nobody wanted to go see. So nobody went to see. And the people that might have gone to see it, as Natalie already pointed out, are waiting for it to show up on some kind of streaming service. We need a return of the studio system, and I can't believe I'm saying it, that existed way back in the day. We need Warner Brothers to own a certain number of theaters that we are guaranteed that they're going to put their movies, on the screens at. We need these studios to participate in the very system that actually distributes their films. And the distributors need to be a bigger part of this conversation. And I think that was the only thing that was lagging in the evolution of what Hollywood was becoming when we were moving towards the streaming situation, was, distributors to get involved and say, hey, AMC, don't worry, we're going to go and get these 2 films from Lionsgate that nobody else has gone to grab, or we're going to go and get these 2 films from Focus Features, or this is going to be a winter horror film for you, okay, and we're going to bring it to your theaters, and if you want it anywhere else, they're going to have to pay more money for it, and the distributors need to be even more involved than they are or have been in a very, very long time. And that's kind of where we are now, because as everybody's pointed out, is there anything you want to see?
Yes, actually, that's the problem, though. And to talk about somebody who is not distributing their films, you got Netflix right here. they're busting into the IMAX window with Narnia, which I don't want to see because it's Greta Gerwig, and I have no faith whatsoever that she's going to be respectful of.
It'll be a faithless adaptation.
But let's for the brief experiment here, let's say that was actually a movie that I wanted to see. It's going to be in IMAX, and maybe not in normal theaters. So. There are movies that are probably fantastic and probably would sell big bucks at a theater that are not going to theaters. So I think that wholesale there is, and by the way, we will wander into talking about this on That Park Place tomorrow, because we're going to be talking about the Netflix house, which includes a theater. So I'm now wondering if Netflix will have their own theaters by way of having their own little themed entertainment areas here that you can go see these things in a theater. But right now, the kind of films that used to pop up in the box office and now they're making remakes of over and over again, those movies are all going to Netflix, and Netflix is real cagey about putting them in theaters. There's some relief there, but right now the theatrical business model is not something that makes studios want to say, yeah, we'll leave that there for a little while, because even looking at Disney's financials, as weird and self-serving as the messaging is there, they make more for TV and video on demand than they do in theatrical distribution. So I think the business model has to change.
I think AMC needs to cut a deal with Netflix as fast as possible, and the other theaters too. Dedicate 2 screens to Netflix shows and just say, if you've got a Netflix subscription, here's a put a QR code on your phone, hold it up to us. We're going to scan it. Yep, you're a Netflix subscriber. Theater's down there. We're showing Stranger Things.
Or even putting sports into movie theaters with excellent sound systems.
They're going to have to dive into the idea of not everybody can afford to have a theater in their house, obviously. And even if you did, you can't have a screen the size of the theater. They're going to have to drive into, we're the premium place to be, not we have exclusivity when it comes to the content, because nobody wants the content anymore. It's subpar. Hollywood has become mediocre at best, and they've become divisive against their own consumers. So they don't care about the heartland. They don't care about the drive-bys, the flyovers, etc. And as a result, people are driving by the theaters and they don't stop anymore. It's a real problem.
Can I jump in here? Someone, I think you just mentioned the kind of a Netflix. I'm a subscriber. I flash a code and I can see it on the big screen. Is that I go there and I buy popcorn and a soda? Is that sort of the revenue stream we're talking about?
That would be what I would think you'd have to do, because I don't think you're going to get a lot of the younger generation to say, you know what, I'm going to take the time to leave my home, my apartment. I'm going to go to a theater and I'm going to pay $10 plus have my subscription. I don't think that works. They'll stay and they'll watch it on their 65-inch OLED.
It'll be their parent subscription anyways. So you have to get them. You have to get them on the merchandise and the alcohol and the experience and I'm not endorsing the alcohol aspect. I'm just saying,
John, if there's a special Stranger Things popcorn bucket,
they'll
buy it up,
exclusive to a Netflix house. So
if the results of that poll are accurate, I do believe. I mean, that you are going to have a lot of difficulty getting some people back into the theaters, and so one way to do that is to maybe have some of these more popular streaming shows have episodes of those television series or an entire series in those theaters in order to just drive business, because in the cultural zeitgeist, I mean, some of these streaming shows are becoming more popular than movies and having more of a profound impact. But it's very interesting too. Culture talked about broad appeal, and I think Pro made that argument as well. Hollywood Reporter actually goes on to talk about how some of this money actually going to international sides of the business. I know Hugh Johnston actually, there's a quote from him talking about that, but they actually have a direct quote here from the writer here, that to become a global player, you need global content. The days of major studios offloading culture on the world has morphed into something closer to a give and take, as the entertainment industry has matured in many countries. Give and take. I love that phraseology right there. What you basically did was, instead of creating broad appeal content, stuff that would appeal to no matter where you were in the country or in other countries, they decided to offload content that only Hollywood would enjoy. And unfortunately, that was the only audience that actually came, and so they destroyed a lot of these franchises and a lot of these international opportunities, and now they're forced to make content specific to those regions. Very fascinating development.
What I don't know when I look at this chart is, I don't know what the YouTube spend is. right? A dozen major entertainment giants collectively spent a total of $210 billion on content in 2024. What is the spend on that $32 billion from YouTube? Is that independent content creators combined together?
It's like it's sports, right?
It's just sports from YouTube?
Yeah. They YouTube TV. Is that what we're talking about here? Or are we talking about YouTube the service?
I don't know. It's why sometimes these charts are a little confusing. But obviously, you can see, folks, that the spend is there. It's what they're spending on, and it's not there anymore for Hollywood in the same way. It's not as big a part of this, and I worry about the theaters. I really, really do. I don't want to see them go away because I believe that there's a benefit, a communal benefit from people having a shared experience together, and I think we need more of that. People in their basements, sitting in the dark, watching TikTok. I'm not a fan of that. I think it's a problem going on. So let's get back together. Let's go to stadiums. Let's go to theaters. Let's have a good time, and let's cheer each other on. Even if you're a part of the other side of the aisle, you can survive. You can breathe each other's air for 2 hours, just like I'm going to do with Wicked. We really hope that you felt this video was satisfactual. We know we had an actual good time participating and communicating with each and every one of you out there listening. It is a great honor. It is a great pleasure, even a responsibility to do this on a daily basis. You give us the dream job we love doing, and for that we can never say thank you enough. There's only one small favor we ask beyond what has already been done, and that is, folks, consider it. That is clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those pesky algorithms. It's the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts, because your thoughts do indeed matter, no matter what the mainstream media would otherwise say. Folks, as we say every single time we end these videos, because we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah!
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.